Okmulgee County Fairgrounds. This is a chicken auction. I've never been here before. I've been here for the Kiko Invitational, and I've been here when Dale showed some pigs years ago. It's a really nice place, but I didn't know that the auction sold all this junk. I thought it was just poultry. But, I mean, they've got all kinds of stuff. It's good to watch. I already found some sick chickens in there. Gross me out. I just hauled out of that area. Poor things, huddled in a corner, sneezing. That's one of the reasons why I don't come to these things, but I'll just wait it out and see what we can film for you all so you guys can see kind of what happens here in Oklahoma at auctions, and hopefully you learn some things.
Yeah, there you go. I love that one.
This isn't like our last time, is it? They don't say what they are on them. Yeah, something back there says speckled Sussex. Oh, these cages are great. That's a lot of work in those cages. They're beautiful.
Cash only. We're going to start outside. We got something outside, cages, chains, current and stuff outside. We got 260s out there, good time 260s. So, we got 15 years, we'll be outside. We got lots of stuff outside we can sell real quick. We appreciate it. We got a lot of stuff. We're going to move pretty fast tonight. So be ready to bid. All right, he's $150. We give me $150 start off. 150, got 200, 2 and a quarter, 2 and a half, 275, 300, 3 and a quarter, 3 and a quarter, 3 and a half, 275, 275, 400, 3 and 400, 275, 400, 400, double hit, then we get 400. I got 375 over there now, 400, 380, now 90, 390, now 400, then we get 400, 400, now we get 400, 400, 400, 400, 400, 400, 400, I started right there in the green guide, right there between our $20. 25,
If I would like to know what the...
37 and a half, 30, 32 and a half, 35, 37 and a half, 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 anybody else? Go back in, 37 and a half, one time, $7.
Down quarter, down half, head of it in half, head of it in half, down 75, head of it 75, 275, 2 and a half, 494. Look at these, how dark these are. Man. Rhode Island white. No, not really. Black copper moran. Boy, they're pretty. 10, 11. Head of it in, now 11. Head of it in, 11. Head of it in, dollar. Now 11. Head of it in, 11. 22, I'll get everybody. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 26, where you at? 26, 26, 27, 28, 29, 29, 29, 28, he got him. See him, $3. I
don't know what I'm cooking. I couldn't believe how many videos. I couldn't believe how many videos you have until you told me like to go look at your stuff. And I was like,
It's like a,
Give everybody the road, yeah. Everybody come on out to silver apple, y'all. 12 weeks old will be 3 times a day now. $dollar bill, 366. That's them all, ship them on.
What is on his board? Huh? Lock over there. Got wine lock down. One rooster, 2 pullets. 7. 7. 6 up in that 7. 7. 6 up in that 7. 7. 6 up in that 7. $6. Stringer. Let that blood sugar get low. What you got, young lady? Black chickens. Got the shirt. I'd say that's probably all bullets right there. It's not close to it. There might be a rooster too in there. Might be busters. I don't know. I might $1 bill. Yeah, $1 bill now. I mean, 10 times. 492, 492. Guys, these are going to be most of these are bullets. I like your cage on the end or ends. I don't know anything about them. I wasn't here to check them in, but they're all nice bullets. The hard work is done. You have to set it all over. We just have a choice here. They are nice. Double V. I believe every one of the bullets are all nice. I'll give $7 on the money now. Now 9. We got $8, 9, now 10, now 11, 12, 13, 13, 14, 15, $14 bid, now 15, $14 bid, now 15, $14 bid, 16, $15 bid, now 16, 15, now 16, 15, now 16, $15, 494.
Let's review the auction. So I saw lots of people I knew from the feed store and actually had a lot of people come up to me that has seen me on YouTube. So it's pretty great. I really enjoyed my time speaking with everybody and just listening and watching and learning. I learned a lot as far as, I guess different auctions have different rules or do different things. This one was set up really, really nice. They had a great flow. There wasn't just, you know, a minute of silence. There was always something happening. There was a little joking going on, but the auctioneers and the actual person that ran it, it was really nice. It was actually really, really nice, and it was smooth sailing. So they started selling what one of the people I ran into called the junk. So the junk is just things that people find on their farms or from their homes, new things, old things that they bring, and then they auction them off. So some things that I saw was like 2x6s. There's like a whole pallet of that, some old rusty chains, some kind of really old disgusting chicken coops and hoop houses that were portable. So they were small enough to put on the back of a truck, but I mean, caked on with poops, kind of gross, but also some brand new ones that were just put together out of the box. So those went on as well. But there was a really cool old chair that had the same seat as my 52 Ford 8N. So that was pretty cool, but I don't have a place to put a chair. That's just an old tractor seat. But it was really neat. If I had more room and we weren't like in our tiny house or our barn dough, then I would have, totally would have bought it. So the auction started, and when it started, it had tons and tons of eggs. So there was a full table full of eggs, and I showed it earlier in the video. The egg sales, they kind of varied. Some of the eggs weren't listed as far as what breeds they were. You can open them, you can touch them, you can look at them. They were just stacked, honestly, like 3 or so foot tall on this big, huge table, just stacks and stacks of them, and saw what they were. There were some, you know, some notable sales. So there was A.N. Samanis and there was Black Copper Morans. There was some, let's see here, I think there were some Wyandottes and things like that. Lots of eating eggs and just lots of backyard mixes. I was kind of surprised to see that anyone would take the time to bring a backyard mix egg to an auction, just to, you know, sell for $2. But that sells less than eating eggs, so I'm just not quite sure where the thought comes into that process from going all the way to the auction to make half as less as you would as eating eggs, because eating eggs go for about $3 or $4 a piece, anywhere online, on Facebook, around your community, and also at the auction. So and then there was somebody there called the Egg Man, and apparently he buys all the eggs that start at $1 or $2 and no one wants to bid on. So I don't know what he does with them. I don't know if he eats them. I don't know if he hatches them. I don't know if he takes them to another auction and resells them the next day. There's lots of that happens there. So they went through all the eggs, and that was pretty interesting. The next huge table, which was 3 times as long as the egg table, was a table full of baby chicks. And the boxing of the different chicks was pretty neat to see. I saw some people actually made their boxes all look the same colors, and they put like their little business cards on it. I thought those were pretty cool. Some had openings where they put some chicken wire on the top so you could look down on the baby chicks, and some were just like completely closed boxes. So some of them weren't listed. And again, I didn't touch anything, so you didn't know until they came up to the front and it was their time for the auction. So some of the things that they were auctioning were all kinds of baby chicks. Some were purebred, as told. Some were backyard mixes. Some of them actually said, hey, it's part Samani, part Silky, or part Wyandotte, and part this and part that. You know, lots of backyard mixes. Ducks, I saw ducks. I saw quail. There was a lot of ducks at least. Yeah. There's a lot of ducks. I was surprised. So they got through that. That was really cute. The thing that I noticed when they did that is they would open the box, they would try to state what the actual animal was, and then they would pick them up with their hands and they would show them to the whole crowd. Number one, because I'm a freak when it comes to dirty germs and biosecurity, their hands were just touching all the junk, and then their hands were just touching all of those dozens of eggs that they sold that were at hundreds of people's farms that they touch with their hands from their eggs. They're touching these baby chicks. They're opening the boxes from all those farms, and they're handling all these chicks in every single box. So big biosecurity no-no, but you know what? I guess when you decide to go to an auction, you know that everything is going to be touched. It's all going to be in the same environment. It's all going to have the same breathing air that everything else has there. And so that was one of the things that first grossed me out, but it's the same way in all the auctions. I mean, the auction was clean. It's just the biosecurity part, and there's nothing you can do. When you're going through 100 boxes of chicks and trying to do an auction, there's nothing you can do. So you just have to have the right mindset that I'm going to an auction and I am going to buy sick animals. I am going to buy sick chicks. I am going to buy sick adult birds. And you've got to accept that fact that that is absolutely what is going to happen. So I did not buy any birds. I just went to observe and to video for you. Like I said, I did have a good time communicating and seeing some people I hadn't seen in a very long time. And lots of people asking me lots of questions about chickens. So that was pretty cool. So the next thing that happened after that was the big cages. So there was tons and tons of rows of big cages full of chickens, some one chickens, some trios. There was one cage that had probably 20 chickens in it, and there was like 5 or 6 different divisions with 2 or 3 chickens in each one. So that was pretty cool. And that's where I first started learning that I really didn't know about the auction. I don't know how they do this. So I thought that that whole cage had separations and different colored chickens. So I thought that they would start on the first, let's just say the white chickens in the front, and there was 2 of them. So instead they started on the whole cage, even though they're all different chickens. They started on it and they started bidding, and they got to $11. Well, these were all Seabrights. So they got to $11 and the person bought them, and that meant every single chicken, all of them were $11. I get that, but I thought they were gonna do them separate because they were all different like varieties and colors and things like that. So I guess any chicken cage, whatever's in it, all goes to the same price. You can do a choice, which means you just pick and choose what you want, and then anybody else gets to come up and pick and choose what they want for that same price, or they put the rest up for bid and they can go higher or lower. You just never know. So it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're gonna get, but that's kind of how I began to learn, and then started trying to follow what they were saying and ask a lot of questions of all the strangers around me, and they kind of helped guide me a little bit on it. As these cages were moving, you know, down the line and they were auctioning off all these chickens, the first thing I noticed, of course, they're all placed on that same table that the eggs were on, that the chicks were on, and now the feet and the poops and all the dirtiness of every single cage is going on this table, and they're showing everybody, and then they're moving it, and then they're grabbing the next cage of chickens and they're putting it on the table, so that in turn is touching that cage and their feet, and so on and so forth, right? That's how diseases spread. That's why I always thought auctions were dirty. However, they're fun. I get it. They're fun. And I'm going to keep saying that because I'm very black and white. I don't see the shaded areas very well sometimes. I just have too much at stake. I have too much going on. I have too much riding on my hatchery and my love of my animals to deal with death, loss, to knowingly bring something into the farm that can really kill everything or make them sick. That doesn't only hurt my heart, it hurts my animals, and then it hurts my business. So these are just some of my observations. So they get the chickens, they're moving them through, they're doing the auction. So my overall consensus of like the prices, so this is September 12th was when the auction was. Most chickens didn't go for more than, I'd say, $15. Some went for $2 and $3. Lots of the roosters went for $1 and $2. So, you know, if there's a cage full of 5 roosters and they get to $1 and only get bid for $1, each rooster costs $1. Some of the nicest pullets I actually put on here, they went for 15 or 16 a piece, which is still really cheap. So, you know, a 2-month-old pullet, they're ready to go outside. All the hard work's already been done. They've been, you know, given heat source, nice bedding, food, water. They've grown out. Somebody had to care for them every single day, multiple times a day, inside of a barn, inside their home. The easy part is buying a chicken and just putting it outside, and then you get to look at it and just feed it and water it every day. That was, I think, the highest that I've seen. Some that I had my eye on because I was wondering about what the going market is for them. Those silver Seabrights, they went for $11 a piece. At the end, I wanted to see what these millefleur decals went for, just for the sense of knowing what they went for at an auction, but I actually left early because it was already getting to be almost midnight and they still had a few more rows to do, and it was late. It was on a Friday night and I was tired. Jeremy wasn't there. Unfortunately, he had to go to the hospital. His mom was taken to the hospital that evening. I actually had to go to the auction because I was meeting a couple customers there in the parking lot before the auction started with some of our chicks and some of our eggs. So because I knew I was going there, I told some of my customers that's where I will be, and it was actually closer to their home. So any opportunity I get to do that, I try to. Picked up their eggs and their chickens, and then I went into the auction and did my videoing. So overall, I think an auction is a very, very inexpensive place to buy birds. You don't know their age, you don't really know their breed because half of them don't have a name on them. If you don't know your breeds, then you're never gonna know really what it is. There were so many there I couldn't even identify, and I'm pretty good with my breeds. Lots of Old English bantams, lots of some other bantams that are popular here in our area. There wasn't as many battery chickens as I thought there would be, but then again, it's not the season. People usually buy the battery chickens from these big, huge commercial farms whenever they're spent for about $1 a piece. They pick them up by the hundreds in trailers, and then they bring them back to the area, and then they sell them for $5 to $10. Poor things really just need rescued. They're spent hens. We've talked about that before on my channel, but I didn't really see any of those. I did see some sick ones. I said that in the beginning of the video. I saw them hunched up on their shoulders, neck down in the corner by themselves in their cage. I feel so bad for them. Honestly, whomever was bringing in those animals, I don't know if somebody watches them or if they just drop them off in a pile and then they go to the desk and they just tell them what they brought and get a number. I don't really know how that works, or if the kids were bringing them in, but saw some sick ones, heard some sneezing, coughing, all those things. So that's the huge concern that I have here. And just the sneezing and the coughing and the hunching over, those are just a limited amount of diseases that I could think of in my head that those were. I mean, you will never know what you bring home from the auction. So when I got home, I left my shoes in the car as to not step anywhere on my property with the shoes that I used to go to the auction. And I came in, I stripped down at the wash machine to wash my clothes. I used my Virkon S spray that I talk about all the time. When I went out there and I sprayed my shoes and the whole floorboard of my car, and I wiped down where my elbows touched in my car and, you know, my steering wheel, all that good stuff. Only after I took a shower. That is part of biosecurity, you guys. You have to be very careful if you're around other people that own chickens, their homes, where they are, where their feet have been, where the tires of their car have been, things like that. It's very, very, very important to keep good biosecurity. So yes, I was freaked out a bit. Yes, there was moments I just bit my tongue and didn't say anything because I had nothing to say. I was enjoying my time and I knew what I was walking into going there. Overall, it was a great experience. They really ran the place very nice. The actual environment was clean. I mean, there was clean sawdust on the floor, the bleachers were clean, the floors were clean. It was a nice environment. It's just a chicken auction environment is never clean as far as germs go. So tell me what you think. Tell me your opinion of these chicken auctions. I really enjoyed going. I enjoyed videoing it for you. I wish I videoed more. However, there was a lot of people there talking to me and I didn't get a chance to video as much as I wanted to because so many people were talking to me throughout the whole night. It was great, but I also didn't get to video as much. So comment below. Let me know what you think about these chicken auctions. Let me know your experiences. Tell us a story about a time that you've gone, or a good experience that you've had, or a bad experience that you've had. We'll come back to this again in another video. I do want to sit down and talk about some of the good and bad qualities of chicken auctions again. I'd love to circle back around and talk about that. And then I could also talk about some of the things that people told me while I was there. I'm not going to do it right now. I don't want it to be specifically about that auction or this auction. I think it's just in general auctions. So I learned a lot from people about their experience, and we'll talk about that again another time. But you guys, thank you so much for watching today's entire video. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down, leave a comment below, share it if you want to. If you think anybody else would be interested in this video, I really, really, really appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.